All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode number 66 of my weekly GEMP game review series. Oh, Batman's in the way. Let's get him out of here. Don't need him anymore. I am your host, Chris Gogolen. Thank you very much for tuning in on this fine Monday evening. We're going to we're going to look at some Jawa Cup action this week. But first, let's get caught up on some stuff that's going on in the old Star Wars universe. We're currently in the middle of local tournament weekend. This past Saturday and Sunday, there were a couple of events around the world. uh, Montana, Atlanta, Netherlands, Colorado, and Uganda. Special thanks to, I believe he's still a captain. He may be a major by now. Grady Hutchins here on Veterans Day. Shout out to all of our American veterans, both active duty and former. We got a handful of those in the Star Wars community. I know Matt Lush, Kevin Shannon, Chris Angiulo were all former veterans, and Grady Hutchins and Bill Kafer are still active duty, still serving. So thanks to all those guys. And we've got quite a few events coming up this weekend here. Maybe one in your area that you can get out and attend. UK, Virginia, Northern and Southern California. We've got Germany, Wisconsin. That's the Pittsburgh area. We've got Virginia Beach, and so that's the Norfolk, Virginia Beach area. And then we've got the Springfield, D.C. area. There's one up in Canada, and then my event that I'll be attending this Sunday, right here in northern New Jersey. Nice little 2-hour drive for me, but it's about as close as you can get. So sacrifices we all make for things like that. I did showcase it earlier, but I'll bring it in a previous show. But I will show it off again. The foil for local tournament weekend is BB-8 in Black Squadron 1. This is the AI foil for local tournament weekend. Slight little misprint. The foil version doesn't say local tournament weekend up in the lore box. The non-foil version, which we also send out a few of, does. So there's the picture on it. It does have the official AI logos on the bottom, but the paper version of the card does say local tournament weekend at the top. And some of them, I know Kevin was reprinting some of them and sending them out to me, which should be here later this week, as long as we're catching up on foils. For those of you who missed the OCS foil, month number 7 was the Jeddah City, and the perfect attendance foil was the Scarif landing site. I just started to mail some of these out, dropped about a dozen envelopes in the mail over the weekend, and I've got a number more that I'm working on getting packaged up and shipped out. So that's what we got for those foils. We look at the other calendar for other upcoming events. The OCS finals will be taking place tomorrow and Wednesday are the games. Since both players are in Europe, they're playing when it's convenient for them, which is early evening, which does not make for great live viewing. But we will be getting replay links and running those back. Probably try and do them back to back on Wednesday. They're playing Tuesday and Wednesday. So by the time the Wednesday game is over, we may know who won the event by then, but we'll try and just do both links right then and stream both games. I may have the time tomorrow. I don't know exactly how that's going to work. And there's a slim chance I may be able to find a way to stream it Wednesday live, depending on how things go, how busy I am at work, because I'm working from home that day. So that's what's coming up there. Then we've got the Outrider Cup, which will also be online in December and January. Endor Grand Prix live event up in Seattle. They've already got 18 or 19 people signed up for this event. So if you're anywhere in the Pacific Northwest or just fancy a trip out there, highly recommend. This is a great event. Lots of fun people. They play lots of board games and other stuff too. So definitely a good time. And then we've got the Match Play Championship, which will be in April in New Brunswick, New Jersey. This is the bracket style tournament. And then these two need to get retired. So if any of the admins or advocates are watching, you need to go ahead and retire these two threads because these events are about 3 months old now. The other event going on right now currently is the Jawa Cup. That's what we're going to focus our game review on. So for those of you unfamiliar with the format of the Jawa Cup, so with the Outrider Cup, we made the stipulation that players were not allowed to play, teammates, they weren't only allowed to play one deck per team. So there can only be one throne room, one RAL ops, etc., per team, and the team is 6 players. So they'd have to have 6 different light side decks and 6 different dark side decks. The Jawa Cup kind of took that a little bit and expanded on it, and they basically just banned the top most popular decks. These are all the cards that are banned, that you can't play. So light side loses Throne Room, Legend, Diplo, No Idea, and Old Allies. Dark side loses Map, RAL Ops, Court, Black Sun. And like my father before me, the effect was also banned. So then they'll play a 6-game Swiss tournament. And you can't play any of these decks, but you can play anything else that you want. And it looks like they're cutting to a top 8 playoff. So they got about 54 people signed up to play. So pretty spectacular. And a number of the local tournament weekend events and things like that have embraced the Jawa Cup format. I know the Pittsburgh event, they kind of just made their own format, as we heard Reed talk about on the Star Wars Holo Theater show last week, the week before. I think it was 2 weeks ago that he was on that. So we had 54 people, and round 1 is finished, and they're moving on to round number 2 with that event, and that's what we'll be looking at here in a little bit. I also want to pop into the GEMP lobby, just see if we got anything else going on in here. Doesn't really look like it right now, but they did make a league for the Jawa Cup. This is the official event. And then if you want to play in the Jawa format, anybody can sign up and play in this version, the limited series. So if you happen to like that format and like what you see, there's still time to obviously this is open, anybody can just build the deck and jump in and test that stuff out, and then you can see the Jawa Cup format, X list. These are the cards that have been banned that can't appear in your deck. But otherwise than that, not a whole lot else going on. Obviously, we're still all kind of waiting in limbo to find out what's going to happen with any possible erratas to those cards that are on that X list, and what changes may or may not be coming to those. All that stuff is with design and development and the playtesting groups, and they've been pretty active on GEMP. We've seen a number of playtesting labeled games being played there, so thanks to the coders for getting those cards in there, and to the playtesters for taking the time to do all that. Get some game test data in so we can actually see if the changes will be good, if they need to be adjusted further, if they're too, if they were over-tweaked, overcompensating. So excited to see that stuff out. That stuff should come out in mid-December, as I mentioned, I don't know, in one of the streams for the OCS playoff games. For the Outrider Cup, I think it would be great if they happen to come out in between, because I think I talked about round 1 here is December 4th through the 17th, and then we break for the holidays, and then round 2 comes out January 10th through the 24th. This ends right before the Endor Grand Prix. So if the changes came out in this window in between here over the holidays and were coded and things like that, I think that would be a great way to sort of bookend the current meta in round 1. You've got the best players playing the best decks and playing 6 creative different deck ideas, and then after any tweaks and adjustments got made, you would then have the same best great 12 players in the world, 12 of the top players in the world, playing under the new modified format, and that might help give some people some ideas for deck ideas going right into the Endor Grand Prix. That way, these guys are sort of testing it out a little bit first, so there's at least a little bit of data going into Endor, so they're not the complete guinea pigs as they have been in the past for stuff like this, and they're not going in completely blind. I think that would be a great way for this to happen. Team Europe they did announce their captain's pick. It will be Kieran Fergat, aka Ketwall. Congratulations to him on being number 6. Team USA has yet to pick their 6th teammate. That is due, I think I said by the 17th, which is Sunday. So they will have to make that announcement as to who their final person would be. I think they were waiting to see if Werfs was going to beat Bastion and maybe make a run and take down the OCS title. That might have been enough to earn him a spot. Top 4, still pretty spectacular. Question is will that be good enough to get him the 6th spot over someone like Hayes or Baroni? If either of those guys are even interested, I don't know. I guess we'll find out in 6 days, because I'm sure Joe's going to wait to the last possible minute to announce it. But let's go ahead and let's move on to our game review of the week. Try and keep this. I have no idea how long this game is. It's our featured game that we're going to look at here is between Ewuege and Rhendon. Robbie Hendon has not played Star Wars in about 2 years. And even before that, he was mostly just running events. So he kind of took a time away from the community. Has bounced back with the Jawa Cup. That seemed to have piqued his interest a little bit. And so we'll see how this game shakes out here against Kevin Jap, the guy who makes all the foils. All right, so we've got Robbie playing Watch Your Step versus Kevin playing Hoth CRv. Looks like more. Okay, so he started You May Start Your Landing. He started I Am Your Father, and he started Security Precautions as his third effect, Security Precautions V, which is good for countering any hidden base shenanigans. Let you keep a starship on the table against the heavy turbo laser battery Baragwin shenanigans. Also gives him an extra +1 activation, and he will take on Watch Your Step, playing, looks like docking bays, squadron assignments. Oh, Palace Raiders. All right, so we got Watch Your Step, Palace Raiders. So definitely digging up an old deck. This is probably, I'm sure Brian Fred, if you ever watched this show, would be very excited to see someone playing Watch Your Step Raiders. And his third effect is the one that gives him extra activation at docking bays. So I would assume we'll be seeing the Mos Espa docking bay, possibly the Spaceport docking bay, and he'll kind of just live on these 3 outside docking bays most of the game. That sets up a possibility of Tatooine Celebration, as well as the potential for Fallen Portal to make an appearance. It's also a card that I very much enjoy playing with. There's just not a lot of opportunities to use it these days. All right, so Kevin's first action is going to be to pull Fanfare, which will suspend this for now, unless opponent occupies a system. Oh, he does take the patrol craft, and he's going to Sonic to get a prison, and he's got the availability to pull the 3rd and 5th markers. He's also going to Robbie's going to short range for a ship. He has Luke, but he grabs R2 and Red 5. Maybe he just wants to make sure he can put that out right away. But usually I would think you would see, since he can match for that, he would pull a different ship. But I guess maybe if he wants to pair these guys and then match for the Outrider, that's also a possibility. Excuse me. All right, we get some grabbers out. So certainly no Like My Father. Now there are other options for Luke on the ground, but Robbie's opted to go for the Space Luke. We've got some 2-0 locations and a third marker, and we're going to get a Blizzard 4, which is going to pull us a version of Vader, and it's Enforcer. And then he'll probably get a matching lightsaber, and then go ahead and get out, and that's going to already set up a pretty powerful stacked site here where this is going to be a drain of 3. It's going to be difficult, slightly difficult to contest due to the power. However, Palace Raiders and Patrol Crafts do get extra battle destinies. Let's take a look at these guys. When driving a transport vehicle, it moves for free and he adds 1 battle destiny. So he adds 3 to its power, so it's just power 4, but it deploys pretty cheap. When the objective is flipped, you get the nice forfeit bump, making these guys forfeit 5. And they add a battle destiny. If you get 2 smugglers together, Watch Your Step adds a battle destiny, and if you can match up 4 ability, so you can easily get 3 battle destiny out of them. And the patrol crafts are destiny 4s, so you do have some pretty solid destiny draws in a deck like this that you can easily get 12, 14 total destiny and clear some stuff out. And then forfeit the Palace Raider and a Patrol Craft, which deploys for 3, ends up forfeiting for 8. So you do have some options and ways to deal with stuff like this, and they can't be hit because they're inside the vehicles. So they do get shot pretty easily, though. They are only maneuver 3, so Dengar and P-59 tend to pick them off pretty easily, as do First Order blasters, which is why we typically don't see them played much at all, especially with the map blasters being so popular. Most decks run a Dengar or a P-59. You can find ways around that. Watch Your Step can't play Keep Your Eyes Open, though, so that's a little bit of a problem for them. And then map blasters being so popular kind of just takes it one step further. And he is going to go for the first turn flip. So Robbie's going to do dash and the Outrider to the spaceport docking bay because it deploys. Starfighters deploy -1 here or -2 if a freighter. A little risky given that Kevin saved a force. He could barrier the ship to keep it from taking off and then, drop a whole bunch of stuff here and battle it. And that would be a little difficult to deal with. And the Outrider is a freighter, so this deployed for free. Dash deploys for 3. Palace Raider Patrol Craft for 3. And that will flip. He did not pull Kessel, though. I don't remember if it was I don't remember seeing it in his reserve deck when he went for dash. So that may come back to haunt him a little bit later. The ship will take off from the docking bay for free. And that does hurt Darkseid's activation just a little bit. These 3 2-0 sites become 1-0s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 1 for Darkseid is 12. So it cuts their activation by 3. Of course, they're not activating for the Cantina. Oh, and there's that Fallen Portal we were talking about. Always a fun card. Alright, so the walkers are going to cause 1 ping damage from You May Start Your Landing. Control phase, opponent loses 1 force for each marker site you occupy with an AT-AT. So that's good. That'll cause 1 force loss here. And then he could pay to drain. He did already pull the Fanfare Shield, which does protect against Lost in the Wilderness. Although with the vehicle there, I don't think you can play that anyway. And then I'm sure we'll see Vader pay to drain, and we do. And that's going to be a drain of 3. This would really be a good time where Lightside would love to have a control tunnel vision or something to cancel that drain. Instead, he's just going to top deck. He's going to lose a Palace Raider, a Theron Net, a Rebel Barrier, and he already lost a moving to attack position. And then right on cue, we've got a P-59 sighting. And here's where we're going to get our chance to Fallen Portal. For those of you not familiar with this card, see how this works. Target a creature or up to 2 characters present that just initiated an attack or battle against you at the back door, the Rancor Pit, Jabba's Palace, or any docking bay. So you've got 3 very specific sites: Tatooine, Jabba's Palace, the back door, somewhat playable, Rancor Pit, yeah, not really ever seeing that card uh, at all these days. But then any docking bay is where it really has retained some of its versatility. You draw Destiny, target, or its, because you can target up to 2. Immediately lost if Destiny plus 2 is greater than total defense value. So Destiny plus 2 greater than P59's 4, so you just need a 3. The other benefit of this card here is that it makes Dark Jedi defense value -1. So Vader and Maul are only defense value 5, and when you're going plus 2 greater than 5, you just need a 4, which you have plenty of between the patrol crafts, the fallen portals. Plenty of your interrupts and things are 4s and 5s. So they become a little bit more manageable to try and keep some of these sites clear. And he will go for the fallen portal here. Now there is a canceller for it. It also happens to cancel Barrier and a couple other cards like Smokescreen and whatnot. And he does draw the 4. That's going to give him a total of 6, and P59 is going to go away. Also very good against those First Order troopers because they, the regular ones don't have armor. They're just ability 1. So they're kind of easy to get rid of some of the lower hanging fruit there and clean up the battles a little bit. He takes another Palace Raider. He had his options between Chewie Solo or a Palace Raider, and he opts for the Palace Raider. That's interesting. Kevin uses his once per game text. So the 5th marker, the virtual version, basically has a, in case you got screwed, way out of it. So once per game, you can exchange an interrupt from a hand with the bottom card of your reserve deck, because this card here, once per game, you can take Walker Garrison and the 3rd marker into hand from reserve deck. You have to take them both, though. It's take both these. So if you get the Walker Garrison in your opening hand, you can't pull your 3rd marker, and that's kind of always been a thing that's infuriated some people, made them a little bit unhappy. So the virtual site gives you a way out of that. If you get the Walker Garrison in your opening hand, you can put it on the bottom of your reserve deck, and you exchange it. So that goes on the bottom, and you draw a card off the bottom instead. So then you can then use your once per game search to go get your Walker Garrison and your 3rd marker. And now we'll see drains of 1 and 1 from Robbie. Look for another docking bay. There's the Mos Espa docking bay. So he's got all 3 docking bays out now. And he is going to deploy Luke as well. And he's going to be a little more risky, and he's going to send them. He also deploys them to the docking bay to save a force. Again, that's risky just to save a force. You run the risk of being barriered. Then Luke takes off for free. The Outrider moves over to Hoth. And Robbie's going to draw a bunch of cards here. He'd be looking for a control tunnel vision, or possibly It's a Hit. He does find Kessel. That could be pretty helpful. And there's the It's a Hit that he's going to need to cancel that drain. It's probably a card Kevin will consider grabbing in this matchup. Although Watcher Step tends to have a few cards that you want to grab. So there's the drain of 3. And he will play the It's a Hit to cancel it. And yes, that will get grabbed. When you're kind of just stacking up draining on one site and relying on it to cause most of your damage, anything that negates that damage, you got to get rid of really quickly. And Kevin's going to go right to draw phase after draining here. Causes his extra 1 ping damage. Gets a patrol craft. Now he's going playing for a point man. And now he's going to use 3 force with an accelerate. And he's going to get Imperial Decree. That's non-virtual decree. That's one that cancels force drain bonuses if you occupy, whenever you control any 2 rebel base locations. So if you can control the 3rd and 5th marker, or if you can take back the system, then he'd be in a pretty good spot here. He can set up decree. That'll negate all the force drain bonuses. So the drain bonus from Kessel, the Admiral's Order, which is likely to come out. I'll take the leader. Says that you drain +1 force at docking bays related to systems you occupy. So if he's occupying Tatooine and he gets his Palace Raiders out, these all become drains of 2. So he can negate that drain bonus with Decree. So it's a good card to go fish out while you can. And Kevin will continue to pay his upkeep on Blizzard 4. But Robbie's going to get some drains in here for a total of 4. Plus Luke is also going to retrieve a force. So at the end of the day, basically he didn't really end up losing anything last turn. Well, I think he might have accidentally passed through his control phase, and they just went back and fixed it. Alright, so there's a drain of 2. It's a Blizzard 4 and a Dr. E combo. And then he's also going to top deck and accelerate. And a Phantom Menace. Luke will then retrieve a force. And I think that's what's going to favor light side in this matchup. Besides the fact that Watch Your Step gains a little bit of card advantage just by being able to play interrupts and things from its lost pile. Luke also being able to get a little bit of retrieval in here should be just enough, I think, to kind of wind this game out. Dark side is going to be a little hard pressed to challenge light side in space. I would expect to see Robbie add a second pilot aboard the Outrider now. Probably this Les Lomi guy. And then, fish out some cards. Just to make sure he gets to Battle Destiny and things like that. Add some extra power, some extra forfeit. And that's going to start making it harder for Kevin to interact with. I don't know what Kevin's got in terms of space presence in this deck. If he just has a couple of token ships, I was going to use Wedge. Okay. I thought he might have saved Wedge to go on the Pulsar Skate. Oh, he verifies his deck. Both Admiral's Orders are still in there. And he decides to put Les Lomi at the other docking bay. Use him, pull Elors. And Elors will go down as well. I know what you're saying to yourself. Isn't there a shield or something that makes... There is. The no escape card or shield, depending on which version Kevin's playing, basically makes all his stuff deployed cheaper to this site. So he could drop a whole bunch of stuff and overwhelm these two guys. But Kevin is shield busted. He's already played 4. So we'd have to find a cold feet or something in order to get any additional shields out. The normal text on the site says that your pilots deploy +1 here. So guys like EPP Maul cost 8 instead of 7. And when you're only activating 13 and you're paying to drain, sometimes that +1 can make just enough of a difference. If he wasn't shield busted, that might be a different story. But seeing as how he is, I like this play from Robbie. Until he drops no escape. He does luckily pick up the Ewuege, which is exactly the card he'll need. Excuse me. And he will save 3 force as well. The other thing about to keep in mind as well, patrol crafts may deploy or move as a react, and the Palace Raider makes them move for free. Draft moves for free and he adds a destiny. So this moves for free as a react and it's land speed 3, so they can pretty much go all over these exterior sites. So these guys aren't quite as sitting ducks as you might think they are. They're power 4. They're getting 2 destiny for ability and for the watch your step objective, and this guy can react over and give them a 3rd battle destiny. So you'd have power 8 and 3 destiny with just those few cards right there. Unless you had a way to cancel the react. Alright. Robbie does get drained. He loses a Fallen Portal, a Talon card, and it could be worse. And now he's going to get pinged for 1 more. He could play the it could be worse from his lost pile, but I think he's going to rely more on being able to pull either the Rebel Barrier or the Fallen Portal out of his lost pile for now. Dooku comes down. He goes to the canteen to get a 2nd battleground to get an extra drain. That is the downside to this version of Watch Your Step, because you need your guys in vehicles for the most part covering these exterior sites. Your cantina is a little bit more vulnerable. You have people like Obi and Chewie who can go in and do some damage. Chewie's rough against Dark Jedi like Dooku and the Emperor because he gets Force Lightning pretty easily. But for right now, Robbie's still fairly ahead. Just taking a quick count at life forces. 19 and 9 is 28 to 21. He's got more cards on the table, but he's also doing a lot more damage, and he doesn't have to pay for it. And then Robbie's going to pull the weapons display shield since Kevin went to his draw phase, so he can retrieve one because he deploys Dooku and doesn't battle. So he'll retrieve one here. He'll retrieve one with Luke. He'll drain for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this game will basically be right back to even. Those drains at Hoth and light side drains now. So not a very interactive matchup. There goes another Vader. There goes an EPP 4-Lom. There goes a Fett and Slave 1. Alright, that gives us a little indication as to what Kevin's playing for space. Maybe just a couple of token ships. He loses to Fett and Slave 1 virtual. This was the regular 4-Lom. So it's certainly possible. He's got Zuckuss and Miss Hunter then, just running, a couple of splashable ships. And he also loses a Veers. And a Walker Garrison. The other downside to the way you may start your landing is written. Because you have to take Walker Garrison and the 3rd marker, it means you have to play Walker Garrison. So even if you're not playing 3 sites, or you're not playing a whole bunch of walkers, you still have to play Walker Garrison, which is essentially a card you're going to take into hand and then throw away at the earliest opportunity, which then telegraphs to your opponent that you're not playing walkers in multiple sites that they have to then worry about trying to cover, worrying about the big force drain bonuses and things like that if you're throwing it away. And it definitely impacts how they play the game from there. He retrieves the it could be worse. He shuffles his deck. He's going to drop a Palace Raider over there at the other docking bay without a patrol craft. And he's going to send Obi-Wan to Hoth, and then Obi's going to, after not getting barriered, is going to run away. If Obi had gotten barriered here, he probably would have used the dodge to move away as a react. And he's going to pick up the Fallen Portal. And I guess he's feeling pretty brave between the Hoojiks and the dodge, although the Palace Raider can't use the dodge because it does have a requirement, character of ability greater than 2. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the subtract from weapons. The other part, you move away as a react, is just a lone character, so that part they can use. So he can react away. This patrol craft could also react over. That would again be 4 ability. So that'd be 2 battle destiny, plus a 3rd battle destiny for the smugglers. So there's all kinds of reacts and stuff going on here. Anything that dark side would have that prevents reacts would be a pretty powerful counter. But in the meantime, we're just going to see. He also does go ahead and pull ultimatum. Now he's got 3 battlegrounds. So he's got 5 battlegrounds. That's going to limit this drain to 2. Probably could have pulled that a little earlier. I think he had 3 battlegrounds last turn, and he didn't pull it. So let's take a recap here. Robbie lost a Palace Raider in honor of the Jedi, another Palace Raider, and the Hear Me Baby. The Hear Me Baby, I think he used first. Yes, he used the Hear Me Baby to play the ultimatum before losing it. And then Kevin's going to go ahead and play Image of the Dark Lord to the 5th marker. This subtracts 1 from drains here, -2 instead if Vader controls an adjacent site, which he does. So this is a drain of 0 now. So it's a good way to shut stuff down and protect your 2-0 location. And it's a Destiny 6, which never hurts to have floating around. And here comes Mr. Maul. He's going to go after the guy outside. By himself. We'll see if he has any type of... Well, we've got several things that can happen here first. He's going to go for the Fallen Portal first. See if he can't get rid of Maul. As we mentioned earlier, he only needs to draw some 4s to do it. And a 6 will be more than enough to take care of that. That's just kind of be problematic for Kevin in this matchup. As if things like that can keep happening and a lone Palace Raider can hold the site because you just keep Fallen Portaling their guys out of the way. And he now knows where a 6 is as well that he can track around for the following turn. Should he want to try and do some battle damage here. Doesn't look like he's going to, though. He's just going to be content to just drain away. Now he's doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and retrieving 1, while his opponent is only doing 4 back. And we're certainly going to see Robbie pull ahead this turn, just from the ability to spread out. Kevin got the guy here into the cantina, which is what he needed to do to try and get some more pressure, increase his damage output a little bit. But just in terms of what else he's going to do, he was really going to need to find some stuff to interact in space, even if he could just get Luke off the table. Zuckus Forlom adding a Destiny, or even if he was able to track a 5 around to clear this out, would have been pretty helpful. It is about to get a little bit tougher, because now that this Admiral's Order is about to come out, that's going to make all these drains now 2 instead of 1. Decree is going to be kind of useless here, because he can't control 2 sites in order to do it. Not quite sure what Malos is thinking. Malos is thinking he's going to die, because he's power 3, but Dooku's immune to less than 6, and he just checked, and that's a 5 on top. I guess he's thinking he'll put 1 card down instead of have a drain of 2. Which I guess works. Malos is power 3, Dooku doesn't have a weapon. He forfeits for 6, so he covers 9, and a destiny of 5. Basically, he covers 14 total. So it's just 1 card instead of 2. Currently, but of course your opponent has 7 cards in hand and 14 force to work with. Um, Obviously, yes, he has the Ewuege to get out of it. If he can force his opponent to commit some more cards to the table, maybe. Maybe time spent going after Melas is time spent not spent going after some of these other guys. Certainly justifiable with that. And he is going to throw away Kessel at this point. It's not really needing to go to another system anytime soon. But he does throw away the Pulsar Skate as well. I'm not sure how I feel about that. He just might end up needing another ship. There is Mara's ship, which he is going to play the barrier from the lost pile. So that'll cost him 2 force. 1 to play the interrupt itself, and then 1 for the defensive shield. Kevin, of course, had to expect that, knowing that it was in the lost pile. So we'll see if he has anything else to go with it, or whether it was really just more of a gotta get a ship out and start threatening some stuff. Yep. All right. So he's going to add Tarkin just to get the second. Oh, that actually doesn't draw 2 at Hoth. And Robbie will dodge to move away. And the dodge is going to get canceled. But again, without a weapon, Melas is just going to die. He's not going to take any overflow. This could certainly be an option here. He has the you do have your moments in hand, which I forgot about. He can add 3 to a just drawn battle destiny. So when he draws his 5, he can add 3 to it, make it an 8. And that will get rid of Dooku. And that's what he will do. So Lightside ends up winning that battle. Both characters die. And now Lightside just further presses their advantage here, getting further and further ahead. One more rescue in the clouds. Takes the it could be worse. Always a good way to mitigate some damage. See if he wants to switch his ships around here. After he drains, he could set up Tatooine Celebration, and then he could flip his ships, sending the Outrider over, because at least that has 2 guys who can forfeit, and then move Luke to Hoth. I think that would make the most sense. But Kevin's going to be pretty much out of steam here anyway. I don't even know you need to really worry about Celebration. You could just move away. And then the drains get smaller. Yeah, I would just flip the ships. Keep these drains 2, 2, 2. That's 6. This one over here was another 2, so you just did 8 damage to your opponent. He's down to 4 cards in hand and 10 cards left in life force. And then Luke's going to go ahead and retrieve 1 as well to get that Melas back. So, definitely a tough matchup for Kevin, between getting a little bit of a force choke, losing 3 icons from the Watch Your Step objective, and then just not really having the necessary stuff to deal with them in space. Yep. He'll drop the Celebration. Pass, pass, move the Outrider. Yep. So certainly a well-played game by Robbie, knowing what he needed to do. And just relying on his interrupts, as Watch Your Step does so well. He'll perimeter scan to get a defensive shield just to put a card back. I don't think this is a differential tournament, so I don't think that any of that matters. Well, it could be worse. The drain. I think he still has to lose one after this. He should still have to lose one. Because of the way ultimatum's worded. You lose no more than 2 force to each force drain. But then he uses it could be worse to prevent the loss, so therefore he hasn't actually lost any cards yet, so the drain I don't think should be capped unless Kevin didn't bother. Yeah, Kevin didn't bother to use the lightsaber. Okay, so that's why. So GEMP at least seems like it did that right. And then Kevin's going to go ahead and concede after the it could be worse, because again, there's not really a whole lot he can do, and his opponent's about to retrieve a whole bunch of cards from Celebration the next turn. So thanks to Robbie for submitting the game link, and to everybody for watching today. Still 5 games left to go in the old Jawa Cup, so I'm sure we'll be seeing, and with 50 players, we'll see a few more matchups sent our way. But I think that's going to about do it for tonight. So as we said, the OCS finals will be played this week. Stay tuned to the forums to find out just exactly when we'll be streaming those 2 games, whether we'll be able to do it back-to-back on Wednesday, or whether we can get Tuesday's replay link and do a video Tuesday night, and then hopefully find a way to do a live stream on Wednesday. But in the meantime, if you happen to be in one of those areas, having a local tournament, come out this weekend, play some Star Wars, get a BB-8 in Black Squadron 1 foil, and we'll see you back here next week. Thank you guys very much for watching, and have a great night.